How's it going, everyone? My name is Colin Winters. I'm the host of the Panthers Den, and today we're going to be talking about our very underrated wide receiver core. And I am talking critically underrated. I feel like most critics in the NFL completely overlook the absolute talent that we seem to have here now, especially with two standout rookies coming through and even taking the spot of a wide receiver veteran in the league, being David Moore, who we released in turn to put Terrace Marshall in the wide receiver 3 spot. So before I just go on a random tangent about how good our wide receiver core is, and I mean, it's really good. Have you seen it? I'm just going to go over each guy one by one. First, going with the person who's been here the longest on the team. That would be DJ Moore. DJ Moore being our star wide receiver. Robbie Anderson, of course, right behind him. But DJ Moore, he is a different breed. He is slowly becoming a major superstar in the league, and I would argue is already in the top 10 wide receivers, but no one would put him there because no one really looks at what he does. He is a very consistent guy, and he has had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and no one really wants to talk about that because it's the Panthers, and no one really gives us credit. We've been harsh competitors for years now. We just haven't gotten under the hump, and we aren't getting as many wins as we should, but no one really gives us the credit. That's why people still have us losing to the Jets in some brackets. How? I don't know, but it happens. So, for DJ Moore's stats in 2018 when he was drafted, he went for 82 targets, 788 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not bad at all. When he went in 2019, he stepped it up a bit, going for 1,175 yards and 4 touchdowns. Of course, this year he topped it with 1,193 yards and again 4 touchdowns. That's 10 touchdowns in his receiving career. And the man can rush too. I mean, he went for 172 yards in his rookie season, 40 yards, and then 22 yards. So he doesn't run much, but I mean, we've seen him. He can run. He can burn corners easily. And in the passing game, he's even, he's 0 for 1, but I mean, we're not putting him under center anytime soon, so we don't really have to worry about that. And in a return game, I hope we don't use him in the return game because I don't want to make him do any more work than he already has to when it comes to the receiving game. But he can return. He had 5 kickoff returns in 2018 for 119 yards. And then when it came to punt, he had 6 returns for 32 yards. Not bad at all. Next, we're going to move on to Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson, of course, joining the team last year and is now reunited with his buddy Sam Darnold. Robbie Anderson has been singing Sam Darnold's praises the entirety of this offseason and throughout camp, saying that he's never looked more comfortable, saying that he has an energy around him that he didn't see back in New York, which all is green lights for Carolina. But will that go into the regular season? I sure hope so, and I think so. But when it comes to Robbie Anderson, we'll look at his stats going into each of his seasons and see how he is also a critically underrated wide receiver, of course, getting into a breakout year with Carolina. But in 2016, he had 587 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not bad for a rookie receiver. 2017, he had 941 yards and 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns, very good. 2018, he had 752 yards, so dipped down in yards and dipped only 1 down in touchdowns, having 6 touchdowns. In 2019, he had 779 with 5 touchdowns. Not bad. And then 2020, the first year with us, he had 1,096 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's 23 touchdowns on his career, and he's done a little bit of rushing too, not as much as DJ, and with not as much success, to be honest. 2016, 42, 2017, 9, 2018, -8, 2019, 4, and then he rushed 4 times with us for 15 yards. No touchdowns, and when it came to returning, he's returned 1 kickoff in 2018, and that was for 13 yards. And he's also around the ball when it gets intercepted or the odd fumble. Hopefully we don't have to see pretty much any of that this year. But of course, throwing no interceptions, I'm not going to see that happening. We can always hope, but anyone makes mistakes. And Sam Darnold is still trying to get comfortable with our offense. And now we're going to go on to the 2 rookies I want to highlight. That, of course, being Terrace Marshall Jr. and then Shi Smith. Both of them showing amazing work in camp and during the preseason. Terrace Marshall Jr., of course, being the rookie leader in receiving yards during the preseason, which bodes incredibly well for us. And of course, Terrace also beat out David Moore for the wide receiver 3 spot, and we ended up releasing David Moore. Of course, can't be too happy about releasing David because he was a free agent acquisition that we threw a little bit of money at, but shit happens. It's the NFL. So what we're going to look at now is because they don't really have any stats on ESPN I can look at. We're just going to look at the preseason games and look at their stats from there. So the first game that we played against was a 18-21 loss to the Colts. But in that game, Terrace Marshall caught 3 targets And then with that, he made 88 yards out of them. And then Shi Smith only caught one ball, but that one was for 26 yards. And even though this is about a receiving core, let's not forget we had our tight end, Tommy Tremble, catching 3 balls for 19 yards and 1 touchdown. Next, we're going to go into the Ravens game where we had a 20-3 loss, so not that good. But we still saw some good work from our receivers. That being, again, 3 receptions from Terrace Marshall, but 50 yards. And then 2, this time, from Shi Smith for 35 yards. And this is also where we saw a few of our starters play a little bit more. Robbie Anderson having 1 for 16. That was the first pass that Sam Darnold ever threw for an apparent Panthers jersey in a game, and it was to Robbie Anderson. So that's like a thing of poetry, a thing of beauty, and I will hope to see more connections like that in the future. But last but not least, we have the Steelers game, which we actually won 34-9, a win that I was very surprised with and very pleased with. So what we're going to see here is that's when Sam Darnold actually started playing as well, and he went for 19-25 and 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not bad at all, connecting with a few of our rookies. Of course, this is when we also saw DJ Moore play. He got 6 receptions for 48 yards. We had Terrace Marshall Jr. catching 3, 43, and 1 touchdown. We had Shi Smith catching 2 for 21. And of course, Robbie Anderson catching 2 for 15 and 1 touchdown. So this was an amazing performance on all respects. Touchdowns going to both Robbie Anderson, someone that Sam is very familiar with, and then Terrace Marshall, a new teammate of his. I feel like this is a very good dispersing of the ball as well by Sam. And we're seeing that many of our new guys, whether they be free agent acquisitions or rookies, mainly Terrace and Shi, going in and catching that ball, making hard catches. If you watch any of the highlights, some of the catches that Shi made were like got tipped and they jumped up and got it anyway, or the dude was frankly being held and interfered more than I've ever seen interference ever in a national football game, and Shi Smith still just jumps up there and says, yeah, no, it's fine, I got it. It was frankly amazing. And I am incredibly excited because this is a very young core that can go very far in the league if they just keep their heads and keep playing like they've been playing. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to shine some light on this critically underrated wide receiver core that the Panthers have. No one really looks at the Panthers much right now because of the fact that we've been in a rebuild for a good few years. I mean, until Cam was officially released, no one really looked at it as a rebuild, but let's be honest. The downward spiral ever since 2015, we've been in a quasi-rebuild mode. But now, I feel like it's finally ending. If Sam can do well and stop seeing ghosts, maybe we'll be a contender in a year or 2. I don't see it be very long before Panthers are finally talked to as a good team again. Because we were feared in 2015. Now we're just kind of laughed at. And frankly, I'm tired of it. And I'm happy to see my team rising to the top again. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope to see you guys next time. See ya.